Hello, everyone. Today I have a special guest, a special gift, one of my favorite clients, Stefan. And today we're going to have a testimonial where you're going to dive in a little bit deeper to find out his experience from RTT. So, Stefan, I kind of introduced you already, but give us a little bit more of where you're from, what do you do, just a little bit of background so people know who you are.
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in Michigan. I'll just give a little brief history of who I am. I've been a software engineer for the past 6 years, and I kind of struggled with stress and burnout quite a bit because I don't think I was really being true to myself. I started to realize that more recently, and I'm going through this transition in my life where I'm becoming more of an entrepreneur, and I'm setting up a coaching program, like a life coaching company right now. And yeah, I'm been on this healing journey to become more aware of my limiting beliefs and to let go of some effects that I've created on myself with trauma. And yeah, just to move forward and to become this new version of me that I'm stepping into.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. How did you feel um from the beginning to the end when we just met, from the
Mhm.
intake through the session, through the follow-up, each meeting individually? How was that for you?
Yeah, so this was my first RTT session ever, or experience. Yeah, and I had have I was aware of what it was and was kind of curious to try it. And so this turned out to be a really cool opportunity for me to see what that was like. And you made me feel super comfortable, and I was like definitely like relaxed, and I felt okay with being vulnerable throughout the whole process. And that was super helpful for me because one of the things you did was reminded me to like remember to feel my emotions and be aware of that instead of just being in my head
Yeah,
and trying to define things that way. So that was super helpful, and you reminded me of that a few times, which helped me like become more centered and aware. So yeah, it was really good feeling
amazing.
overall.
Amazing.
Mhm.
I feel like, we always get in our head space and always want to give a logical answer to everything and understanding. And with
Mhm.
RTT is just stepping in that emotional space more and just working with the feelings, which you did an amazing job with. And thank you for allowing me to do that. What I
Mhm.
wanted to also talk about, I know the purpose of the session is to get more clarity of overburn and overworking and all of that.
Mhm.
How was during the session, did you get the clarity of why you were overworking yourself or overburning yourself or overextending yourself in certain areas that just didn't benefit you
Yeah,
personally or, yeah,
yeah. So personally, and I mean, this is probably different for everyone,
yeah,
but I we kind of walked through some things in my life that were impactful moments for me where I kind of decided to live a certain way and decided to limit myself, or at least to create safety for myself in those certain circumstances. Like one of them, for example, was I think like when I was like 7 years old, I pretty much created this belief that I need to do things a certain way in order to make my parents happy so that they love me and support me, basically. And then I kind of kept that with me where I was very aware of their expectations for me. And when decided to eventually like rebel against those a little bit later in life, I had negative consequences, and that caused me to kind of go back into this shell. So becoming aware of that limitation that I set for myself and realizing that at this point in my life, I'm 34. I've been through a lot of life experiences, and I have the capability to almost reparent myself. Um, that awareness of those periods in my life where I kind of like created this system of belief for myself is not necessarily applicable anymore. So that I can go out and be curious in the world and create things from a more confident and aware perspective. And yeah, that was super helpful just in that process to go through that.
absolutely, absolutely. The way you say it, the way you said it, I made that belief. So even being
Mhm.
aware that, oh, that belief is not somewhere, because a lot of time, initially before the session, when I ask a client, so what do you think is going on? Or I have no idea what's
Mhm.
happening. And then that when we tap in deeply in the subconscious, which RTT allows, that's when we kind of extract those gems or those roots in understanding where those limiting beliefs come from. And
Mhm.
throughout the session, the way you said was really awesome. We reparent the child, that 7-year-old, and give a beautiful belief that that 7-year-old and the 34-year-old can coexist in balance and beauty and thrive together.
Yep, exactly.
I want to ask, did you get the clarity during the session? And tell me a little bit more. I kind of feel like we covered
Mhm.
that, but what are the other places maybe that you think you would like to mention?
Yeah. So the clarity, I actually realized this yesterday, because I've been listening to the recording that you made. So I've been listening to that for the past like week or so, and going to be listening to it for the next few weeks. That kind of redefines, it's like an affirmation type of recording where I'm redefining who I am and what I am capable of doing, and like that I'm free and things like that. So I had this realization yesterday that I am ready to fully step into like being this life coach for people, because I do have these capabilities and I really want to help other people. And feeling ready was that was like the clarity that kind of came out of it. And it just kind of happened, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And I was looking at my notes from this session like earlier today, and I realized that that was one of the things that was like, that you are ready. Like that's one of the things that you helped me like see, I guess. And then it actually, like, I felt it, and it kind of like just surprised me. I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's clarity.
Isn't that cool
Yeah.
how the session already passed? You're still listening to the recording, but the insights are still coming out, the
Mm-hmm.
clarity is still coming out. So it's still kind of the transforming process is still happening throughout each
Yeah.
time you listen, and each time I feel like each time you stay more true to yourself, the
Mm-hmm.
more that aligns with you. And I love that beautiful clarity that you got the message that you are ready, because
Mm-hmm.
when we initially met, you're like, I feel like I have the potential, I can go to
Mm-hmm.
the next step, but there is something that is holding me back, which we established was the limiting beliefs. But then
Mm-hmm.
throughout of it, you kind of already get so much more powerful and more transformation from listening to the recording and integrating all of those new beliefs in the subconscious mind, just to allow you to give you those new path of making decisions and know that you have those abilities to progress.
Yeah, 100%. And one thing that I wanted to add to that for the clarity part,
Yeah.
something that I've kind of been more aware of as I've gone through this process with you, is the way that I speak about myself is definitely something that reflects my inner beliefs. So I'm noticing that I was speaking about myself more so like, oh, I am going to do this, or I am becoming this life coach. But now it's, as I'm speaking about it, I'm trying to be more aware of, I am a life coach. Like I set up my website last week. I
Yeah.
have a client this week. I'm actually doing it, and I am that. So it's like that shift from like that understanding or that clarity where you're going through like a transformational time in life, and you actually are stepping into that new state of being with these new beliefs.
That's awesome. That new.
Yeah.
Well, what is really important, our mind only only can talk to it at the present moment,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes it only at the present. So I am, your mind will say, okay, that this is mean, this is now. If you say I will, what I was, your mind will kind of drift, oh, okay, so there will be some time, one time. So it's a very vague
Mm-hmm.
thing to say to your mind. So our mind likes the way we're talking about clarity to be very clear and direct what exactly we expected from it. So I love the shift from like, okay, I wasn't speaking to myself like this, but now as I'm getting to the present, being present, it makes you feel more grounded and in your body. And also it allows you to connect with people easier when you're present to the moment. So that is super, super, oh, that's huge. That is really
Yeah.
awesome. Super cool. Okay. Um, from our session, what have you learned about yourself, your patterns, your subconscious programming, and the cause of your problem? Kind of cover it, but just give a little
Mhm.
bit something that we haven't heard, if you have something that you can add.
Yeah. I think something that was pretty impactful for me is uh, becoming more aware that I was feeling rebellious at certain times in life. And I was feeling like being rebellious or trying new things at times I was incapable of making good decisions in those moments because of having past experiences where I received like negative feedback when I tried. So almost like giving myself permission to be more curious in the world and go create new things, and knowing that I do have like a good moral foundation to look through in the world at and interact with the world with,
Mhm.
that I can trust myself
Yeah,
to
that's
almost be rebellious in a good way.
Yes, that is super cool. I was waiting for you to say, I trust myself, because everything you do and everything you want to do to accomplish, you do have to kind of rely on yourself and self-rely.
Mhm.
And when you do have that, maybe I would say, not a strong foundation with your trust, where I like the way you layered. I gave myself permission, and then
Mhm.
the trust kind of fold in, that I'm like, oh yeah, I can do this. After you gave yourself permission, the trust kind of blend in with the permission, and it was
Mhm.
such a more impact of like, okay, I can make this decision. I'm able to do that. And I think the freedom of choice, that's what it's come with the permission. It's
Mhm.
also, okay, I can choose this. I can choose this way. I can make this. I can create this. It just gives you so much freedom on the creative part, which is really important as a coach,
Mhm.
and as an entrepreneur. It's really important to rely on your creative process, but you also have to trust yourself. So that was really, really beautiful.
Yep.
Um, how did you feel at the end of the session? I know it was really powerful and it was
Mhm.
really like deep. How did it feel in the end of it?
Yeah. So the session basically, so that was like we had three different
Yeah.
meetings basically, and the second one was the actual where you kind of walked me through and did like the RTT process, where I was more so like subconsciously interacting with you, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And that, yeah. So after that, I through the process, like you definitely made me feel very comfortable, and like I kind of said this before, but being okay with being vulnerable and really truly just expressing myself and knowing that I was safe in that moment, um, made the process kind of become more like deep, I guess you could say. And I think that's where the real work gets done a lot of times. And for me, it kind of opened my eyes to things that I didn't see before about myself. So um, yeah, so that felt really good to get to those little places and then see what's going on there. And then for me, I kind of view this whole process as like increasing my awareness about these things that I have, like these
Yeah.
limiting beliefs, and then redefining them, and then becoming that new version, and then just kind of like letting it go, because I don't want to like get in this habit of just always thinking that I need to heal. It's more so becoming aware and healing, and then just moving forward in life. So I felt like I had more ability to start moving forward as I was going through this process.
That's amazing. That's really incredible. I love that. And I love the fact that you said that it's really important, in order to get the deeper stuff, to be vulnerable with yourself, and
Mhm.
I think, and I want to thank you and commend you for, allowing me to be a part of this journey, because it's really important for me, for my clients, to be out they're authentic themselves, so
Mhm.
they can get as much as they can get from that an hour and a half. I know it is an hour and a half of RTT, and sometimes people feel like, I feel like it was decades of stuff that we went
Mhm.
through and stuff like that. So absolutely, for that purpose, I do want for my clients to get the most they can get out of that session. So I'm really happy to hear that you were able to tap in that space, but now you can also do it for yourself when you're ready to
Mhm.
tackle at different things. And I like that you say, I don't have to always be like hard on myself or like, oh, what else I need to fix in order to be ready for the next thing, or what else I need to do, or what other masterclass I need to watch to
Yeah.
feel ready. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we put that pressure, that being hard on ourselves. And I love that here you're like, no, I'm intelligent enough. I've
Mhm.
learned so much. I can still learn along the way, but I can still do the things I love for myself. So that's really, really awesome. I'm really happy about that. I want to ask you about the recording. Why is it the personalized recording so important? And
Mhm.
how did it feel for you? And what do you think is the most like beneficial aspect of it, basically?
Yeah. So it definitely is very personalized in that is unique because I mean anyone can go on YouTube and look up affirmations and listen to those, but when you have something that actually kind of applies to those vulnerable places for you personally and it redefines them for you, then that's where like you feel the transformation. It makes it more emotional based and it kind of shifts your like foundational state of being, I would say, um, where you actually really are reminded every single day that you listen to this that, oh yeah, this is the new me, essentially.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then the recording itself is cool because it's a reminder. So
Yes.
it keeps those ideas fresh so that they actually become something that's like on the top of your mind, like this new lens to look through life with. And yeah, so that's why it's been cool because I'll be listening to it and then it's almost like a different part of it stands out every single time I listen to it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And that's meaningful for my situation right now. So yeah.
That is super cool because I always say when the session happens, it is in alignment with whatever the person is going through.
Mhm.
So whatever goes into the recording is to support essentially the client or to support you throughout your healing journey and through your transformation process, even though I'm not physically there, but the recording is there to be in a soothing way supporting to your mind and to your spirit and to your soul, right? To
Mhm.
this transformation. So you don't feel, okay, we had the session, bye-bye, it's good to see you, right?
Yeah.
You still have that recording, as you said, as a reminder, but what it also does, the way you say, it gives you this acceptance of accepting this new way of thinking about yourself in a
Mhm.
more positive way, and also accepting that change is really good in a good way when you're doing it with intention, right? So
Mhm.
I think I love that you say it's really personable because it is based on the session, and that's a way of supporting those new paths, new ways of your subconscious mind to work. So that's really awesome. And I'm so
Yeah.
happy that you still find gems. As I told you, I have clients who listen for like months in a row and they keep like, oh my God, I love your voice. I love what you say in the
Mhm.
recording. How do you know me so well? And stuff like
Yeah.
that. So it's really fun. Um, I would ask you two more questions, then we'll be fun. We'll be done. So why would you recommend RTT? There will be one question. And why would people need to try it and what is
Yeah.
it, stuff like that from your perspective?
Yeah. So I've spoken to a therapist before and gone through kind of that route and seen what that was like. And that was really helpful to have someone there to help kind of guide and become more aware of different parts of my life. But I think the difference with RTT, which is why I was like really interested in it at first, was like it's rapid transformation therapy, I think is what it is. So like it's more almost quicker when you're working more deeply in your subconscious mind and you're uh, getting to do like this, like the recording where you're like actually reminded of these things every single day. So you're actually almost like, I don't know how to describe this exactly, but you're really working with these things on a really deep level and very consistently instead of doing like if you're like talking to a therapist every week or something. That process can be really helpful, but it's almost like it just takes more time. And this for me was just more quick, and I think possibly because I was ready for it, so I was willing to to be more vulnerable and to actually really try to get to the bottom of these things. And yeah, and in that case that I am ready, it was able to really come in and start shining this light of awareness on all this stuff, and like, yeah, just like more rapidly. I think it definitely is that word, and it makes sense, because you are going so deep and so into that subconscious mind and things like that.
Well, I want you to a little bit elaborate on the subconscious mind, because I think
Mhm.
people want to hear, oh, you go deep in subconscious. Oh, that's so scary. What
Mhm.
you doing to your mind and stuff like that. So,
Ah,
still that stigma kind of over it sometimes. So I
mhm,
kind of want you to elaborate when we go into the subconscious mind at the deeper level, right?
mhm.
The way you describe it is just more rapid. I feel like you said it so perfectly that it targets exactly what you're willing to open up for, or exactly
Mhm.
what you're looking for. So I think that was a really distinguished, very good description of it, of the process itself.
Yeah, and yeah, you make a good point. I think for it's not scary, at least it wasn't for me, and especially because we had a session at first, or a call at first, where we kind of got to know each other and started the conversation, and that's when you started kind of asking me about myself and my current life situation and things like that. And that was a good intro before getting into the actual process of it. Because we made a personal connection. I felt like I could start trusting you,
Yes.
and then I could open up more.
Yes.
And I think that was like a good part of that whole process too, just to almost like warm up the situation, and then okay, like I'm ready to go into like the more, like, I guess, just more vulnerable state. It's not like a scary, or it's not like you're really like controlling me or anything like that. It's more so I'm willing to open up and we can look at things together. So,
Wonderful. It's just was really fascinating about RTT, and I think each client, and with you, what was really such a gift that as we're going into the session, as we're going into your mind, we talk about real feelings. We're not talking about any esoteric
mhm,
assumptions or anything. It was everything very real, right? It
yeah,
was everything very raw, the way you say. It was very vulnerable, but it was real. It wasn't
yeah,
something made up, or it wasn't something like, oh, I don't know if I have control over it. The truth is, you had control over the whole time.
mhm,
And it's just having a conversation with your eyes closed, but at the deeper soulful level, at the mind level.
yeah,
So it was really powerful. And I was really happy the way we accomplished so many successful, like I felt like your mind had a lot of questions, and then we
mhm,
went back and we asked all of the questions, and your mind, the way you said, gave you shed light over all of the questions that you had, and it's
mhm,
just opened up this new beautiful opportunity of you just giving yourself permission to be who you truly are meant to be,
mhm,
of service, and into alignment with the universe, obviously.
yeah.
So last and not but least question, really awesome question. If you were your own therapist, because we did work with your inner child as well in this
Mhm.
session, if you were your own therapist, which advice would you give to your younger self?
Yeah. So after coming out like of this whole process and still kind of being in it,
Yes.
something that's super important to me that I'm realizing is that I can give myself permission to explore and be curious with the world and interact with the world in ways that I haven't maybe before, that might have felt unsafe for me before. Um, and I can do that and feel safe and comfortable. And that's where I can create new things. And and I would say to my younger self, like, you're capable of doing that, and try new things more and see what it's like, and begin learning how to do that, instead of just being in this box of, like, when I was younger, doing what my parents said was okay
Yes.
only. Not to just be like a rebel and cause trouble, but actually just to explore the world more and interact with it in new ways more.
Yes, and knowing that
Yeah.
it's safe to have connections with people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Stefan. It was really awesome. And thank you for all of your, answers are super beautiful. And thank you for you being such a gift. You got me to see certain things. I always learn from my clients, and I learned from you too. Um, Giving permission, I feel like it's a reminder, to be honest, it's a daily reminder.
Mhm.
There is so much more out there, because even though we give ourselves permission, sometimes we do get confined by our daily lives.
Mhm.
And that reminder is just, it's a liberating reminder that you can just have so much freedom and choice, and you can just explore so many great things. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything, and I can't wait to hear about all of your success in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah. Thank you. It was really, really awesome process.
Thank you so much. I will stop the recording.